Are we all the same entity? What are the different, who's who?
Oh yeah, they're gonna introduce themselves.
Oh, great. Oh, okay.
I'm Patrick Garrett, WAMC Northeast Public Radio. Mm-hmm. We do a podcast on geeky, nerdy stuff.
Sure.
I just want to start off real easy. Are you excited for Prompto's return in the DLC of Fantasy 50?
Straight to a Prompto question. Yeah, absolutely. I haven't recorded it yet. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that, but too late. I just said it. I am scheduled to come in at some point soon, so it's happening. Yeah, I went in and did that little trailer where I just breathed for a little bit, for like a minute, and I am really excited about it. Prompto's one of my favorite characters that I've gotten the chance to do. I know some details about the story. It sounds really exciting. Yes, I am incredibly looking forward to it. Yeah, anytime you get a chance to like revisit a character, because we've been done with Final Fantasy for almost a year. Anytime you get a chance to revisit a character, you always want to go back, as long as it's someone that you care about. And I definitely care about Prompto. He's a cool guy. I'm glad he's getting his own episode. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
CJ Mathis with ToonamiFaithful.com.
Oh, I know you guys. Yeah. What's up, man?
Nothing much. It's good to see you.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you about your latest role that's now on the block, Crollo from Hunter x Hunter.
Oh, yeah.
That was just shown and everyone's loving it. They're loving seeing one of their favorite villains back up. How's it like playing such a notable villain now that a lot of people can see?
I love bad guys. I might be known a little bit more for the chippy shonens that I play, but I really like playing bad guys. So I auditioned for Illumi back a year ago. I just didn't think it was right for me, and obviously the casting directors agreed. And then I got a chance to read for Crollo, and I remember sending in my audition, and I'm my own toughest critic, and I was like, ooh, this could be good for me. Yeah, I felt really good about my audition, and thankfully I got a chance to do it. I got to work with Tony Oliver, who's one of my anime director icons. I love any time I get a chance to work with Tony. He's one of the first people I met in the business, and he's guided me in a great direction with that character. Great people handling the script supervising. Dave Caspit's on that. I got to give all the credit to those guys. They do the hard work, and then I get the easy job of bringing it all to life. So, yeah, Crollo is awesome, and I love where the character is going to go. And I'm so glad that that the fans like him, because I like him too. Yeah, he's twisted, and I love it.
Hi, I'm Alexandra from Mythical Entertainment. Tuxedo Mask is such a heartthrob for Sailor Moon fans. Just wondering what you think you bring to the character. Continue that legacy.
Besides my stunning good looks. No, I mean, that's my first ever anime role. And one of my favorites, and I'm still working on it. You know, we're into S now and recording, and we just finished Sailor Moon R the movie, and we're doing Part 3 of Sailor Moon Crystal coming up. I don't know if we're doing that yet. I haven't recorded it yet. So well, maybe we're not. I don't know. I shouldn't say that. I think Viz might come out of the ceiling and beat me with a stick. But he is a character that's fun for me because he has a couple of my two bigger personality traits. I say this all the time, like kind of being an over theatrical goober and also being like kind of a flirty jerk. Like those are two of my favorite things I get to do in real life, so bringing that to a character is really fun. I love Mamoru. He's great. He's a stand-up guy who loves the people around him, and he's a hero, but he's not afraid to be funny and kind of silly. And the heartthrob part, I don't know. I don't have any control over that. I just I play the character the best way that I can, and if people fall in love with him, that's not my fault. Yeah. I love Mamo. He's one of my favorites. Did you guys plan that, where you all asked individually about different characters? Excellent, well done. And this is you. Okay, I got it. All right.
Now, when it comes to voice acting, you're a little bit more of an older hat when it comes to video games. Mm-hmm. But
This is a brand new hat. I got this. It's a Boston hat. I got it when I landed.
You have to wear that.
Go ahead, I'm sorry. Bad joke.
But when it comes to anime, you're rather newer comparatively.
Right.
How do you fare the difference?
Well, it was a conscious choice. Yeah, I have about 9 years skin in the game as a voiceover actor, but only about 3 in anime. So I don't know. I just wanted to sort of broaden my horizons in the work that I do, and I grew up watching anime, so I didn't know anything about how difficult it was going to be. It is a difficult job. You know, when we do Western animation or video games, you don't have the same kind of restrictions that you do in anime. For anyone who's listening who doesn't know, we have to match the lip flaps. We have a pre-existing performance that, even though we're not copying that, the intention needs to be sort of the same. We've got to play the scenes the same. And so it's a really unique set of challenges compared to just getting a script and then interpreting that based off of what you read. You have more information, which can be useful for guiding the scene, but also, like, if I were to say to you, tell me your best joke, and then you started to tell me the joke, and I said, no, sorry, great lead-in, but you've only got 4 seconds to do your lead-in, and you got to get your punchline out in 2 seconds and 8 syllables. You would go, well, wow, it's really hard to tell this joke now. So that's one of the more difficult things about anime. Really, I'm dying to. I did answer your question, though. Go for it.
So far, at least with this new iteration of Toonami that's been on Adult Swim, your voice has been pretty prominent on a lot of shows. It's been One Punch Man, Iron-Blooded Orphans, and Hunter x Hunter. What's it like knowing that you're now part of a block that a lot of fans in America treasured, since it's the only place to watch anime on television?
Yeah, it's super weird. There was like a moment, there's a moment when I think, no, because Hunter x Hunter is relatively new. But I was on Gundam. I have played several characters in Shippuden, and then what was the other one that you mentioned?
One Punch.
One Punch. And I was like, oh, I'm in like 3 of the shows on this block. And I grew up watching Cowboy Bebop, Dragon Ball, all of the Toonami classics. That, I wouldn't say that was my intro to anime, but it's definitely like where I watched the majority of it when I was in high school and college. So, yeah. My first show that came out on Toonami, I was super pumped. And which is weird to say because like I've been on Disney and Nickelodeon and Cartoon Network and Lucasfilms and all of this stuff. So, from a professional standpoint, not necessarily, nobody's going to look at my resume and be like, you were on Toonami, here's a job on Disney. It doesn't work that way. But for a fandom, me being a fan and me being a fan of the medium and me being an anime fan, and then for my fans to be able to be on so many shows on Toonami, it's like a dream come true. I love Toonami. What a great block. What a great block. What other block like that is on television? I remember watching it at my grandma's house when I was like a kid watching Steve Bloom and Wendy Lee and all that those great cast, Mary Elizabeth, and now they're people that I get to work with on a regular basis. It's pretty awesome. Yeah. I was going for it, and it happened, and that's the good. That doesn't always happen. It's nice. Yeah.
What are some of the differences you've noticed between working with American animation versus anime?
American animation versus anime. I get into this too a lot because my career path's been kind of weird. I'm still doing Western animation, just as much or more than anime, but I went and did anime after, and it's usually a little bit different. A lot of people will start in anime and then they'll move out of it and into Western animation from a career standpoint because it pays more, and from an actor standpoint, there's some beneficial things that happen in Western animation you just don't get in anime. You get to record with the cast. Your interpretation is the first interpretation. You have other actors to play off of in the room. You have room for improvisation. Those things just really aren't all that present in anime, unless you're doing like a blooper or something. So I love anime, but I could see where somebody could get jaded on it and wanted to move on. And a lot of people do, but then a lot of people are faithful and come back to it. People like Steve and Kari, and they have these huge video game and animation careers, And then because they're loyal to a studio and hardworking people, or guys like Roger Craig Smith and that, they'll come back and do an anime if it's a character that they're known for. Absolutely. And I think that's a great way to be. And I hope that because my journey's been a little bit different in that way, that I'll continue to be able to do both for as long as I can do both. Now, if someone were to come to me at some point and go, hey, anime's hurting your career, then I would have to think about it. But it hasn't so far, and I hope it doesn't. I don't think it will. So as long as there's a stigma against, I'm talking real talk here, there's a stigma against some actors in anime, and it's tough to get out of it. And some of it's rightfully so, and some of it's not. I think if you can manage to do both, though, you become one of those voiceover actors that people really, really like. Like, our first 3 questions were about different characters from different mediums. We had a classic anime, we had a video game, and then we have, pretty much a new anime that's on Toonami right now. So, those are sort of the differences in a career sense and then in a creative sense. And they are very different, but it's in the same world. You know what I mean? It's like if you're an athlete and you play tennis, but you also play racquetball. There's some things you like about both of them. Yeah. Hope that wasn't too rambling.
Well, regarding stigma, there's also stigma often you see when it comes to anime fans as well. When there's this stigma that often comes from it, is there a direction you'd like to see anime go? So that way it would be more acceptable of a media, not only for fans, but for voice actors.
I think it's going in that direction. I gotta be real, I don't know if I would do anime if it wasn't for the fans. Like, if I didn't have the chance to come to conventions and meet people and develop, online friendships and stuff like that, I don't know if the payout would be there for me. I just don't. And because from a business standpoint, it's, one of the lower paying things that you can do directly. But then you make that back when you get asked to go to great conventions like Anime Boston or Otakon or AX, and that's our supplementary income as opposed to residuals from a cartoon. But I would like to see the industry continue to move forward. What's got to happen though? If we're talking to fans, you got to quit pirating stuff on the computer. You just do, and I know it's hard to say, like, hey, don't go to watchanime.com because it's free and easy, and you can watch it as it comes out in Japan, and there's going to be somebody on the internet who's going to do a pretty good sub of it. Yeah, do that if you have to, but then go buy the Blu-ray, or go, take a 99-cent download on Amazon or iTunes or Hulu or Netflix or something, because that's the way the high-quality stuff gets over here. And there are some businesses, that they'll call it like the Atlas tax, or, why is Aniplex so expensive? And then they go, well, because they treat their employees right. They do faithful dubs. You're not going to get interlacing on crappy DVDs. You're not watching it. You're not pirating it. So I would like to see more of that happening. And I do feel like a lot of that's I do feel like a lot of that is happening. I feel like the people that support it and come to these conventions, they buy it too. They got a shelf of manga. They got a shelf of Blu-rays. I think that's a good way to go. But as far as the fandom goes, nah, man, don't change. Keep being weird, keep cosplaying, keep being passionate. Those are the kind of people that we love. And if nobody else, understands it, who cares? It's not for you. It's for us. Yeah.
I'm curious your take, considering that you are a video game voice actor who's been doing it a lot, and now you're with anime. What's it like playing Soray, not only in the video game, but in the anime as well? Is there any kind of difference with the 2 different mediums for you?
Oh, sure. I like the anime a lot. The anime is more fleshed out. And video games are tough because lead characters have to be a bit of a cipher in order for the character to relate to them. The nice thing about Tales games is, I would say Tales compared to like something like Persona or something. You have a more, or like Link in Zelda. The reason those games are fun is because you can put yourself in their shoes a little more. So it's a little tougher with Tales because you have an established character who you're playing as. And that's the fine line for video games. All that goes away in anime, and you just get to play that character and do the scenes. And so yeah, I like them both for their own merits. But the great part is that animes put a lot of some of the best things from the game into the show. And I don't know, man. Like, we're pretty far in, and we're not at the end of it. I don't know. Are we gonna do more? Maybe. I can't see how we can get to the end of the game by the end of the anime the way it's looking right now. You know, I don't know if you could wrap it up in 2 episodes. So hopefully there'll be more. I can't say for sure, but yeah, I like that long form stuff too. Yeah.
So you've played main characters and various background characters. Where do you find the most creative freedom when you're playing both types of characters?
That's a good question. I find more creative freedom in the side characters for sure. There's more. You're allowed to be a little bit different, a little bit off. Like one of my favorite characters is oh no, Durarara. Who do I play in Durarara? Ranazumi. And you know, he's just kind of this creepy, weird guy, and he's kind of way out there, a little bit jokery and a little bit strange and off kilter, and he has an episode where he just says assholes like 50 times and like just curses the whole time. I was like, that stuff's really fun to kind of play those off-the-wall characters. You don't get too much of a chance to do that when you're a shonen or a bishonen or you know, even some of the various bad guys. I play a lot of stoic characters too, which is weird for me because some of the stuff I'm best known for are kind of like out there characters. So I definitely feel like you have more fun as the side characters, but you're not as well known. You know what I mean? Like, you want to be a title character, or you want to be the main character for your career. It's good for your career. Yeah. But are the side characters more fun? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
For anime video game roles across the board, ones that you haven't been in, what would be your, I guess, dream role or role you really want to take?
For anime video games or cartoons, well, without being too cheeky, I am doing it right now. I've been working on this show since October of 2015. And hopefully someday I'll get to be announced, but it's mainstream Western animation superhero, and that's all you get. Yeah, it's one of my that's my dream right now that I'm working on it. But for the next step, I'd like a show kind of similar to what I did with Breadwinners on Nickelodeon. I would like to do another maybe buddy comedy, off the wall, like kids fun zany show. I mean, I love the stuff that I do, but sometimes just kicking ass and fighting and screaming every day of the week, it gets a little tiring. Sometimes you want to do something a little more fun. You want to, like, you know, a show I get to sing in, a show I get to, you know, goof around with the partner in. Those kind of things are really important to me. That would be my next. I'd like another show like that. Yeah.
I wanted to ask about God Eater because the anime I actually feel like would be a pretty good show to have on Toonami, and I'm curious if you have the same kind of sentiment with it. It feels like it would fit on the block.
Yeah, I agree. It's just a tough pitch because the IP is sort of, I don't want to say it's gone or flat or whatever. For all I know, they could be working on something else. But, you know, that's one of those shows that's built to pitch an IP or built to go off of an already existing one, something like what they did with Tales the Cross. Yeah, I agree. Creatively, yes, but from a business standpoint, I understand why it might not be out there so much. I like that show. I liked it a lot. I mean, who cares it was based off of sort of a Monster Hunter clone? I mean, it's a great show and a great game. So, yeah, of course, I would love to see that. I have yet to be a, like, hero on Toonami. I'd like to do that. I'd like to do
Like the main character.
Yeah, that'd be fun. I can't get greedy. I've only been on the block for like 2 years, but you know what I mean. Like, someday it would be nice. There might be some stuff floating around there that has the potential to do that, but nothing we can talk about yet. Yeah.
You mentioned acting since you were young. What inspired you to get into acting?
I had a creative family. I grew up a country boy, like running around, playing sports, hunting, fishing, stuff like that. And then when I got to be about like 10, 11, I realized I had a creative side. My mom's side's very musical, so I started playing music. And then basically once you get into the arts, you basically, you know, diddle around in whatever feels right until you fall into something. And then once I caught into theater when I was like 10 or 11 and started doing like professional plays when I was around 12, That's when I was like, okay, I think I found it, because I get to do everything. I get to express myself that way, but I get to do musicals, I get to sing, I get to play music, I get to do carpentry if you work on a crew, you get to do lighting, it really is a really collaborative art form, a lot like film, a lot like animation. So yeah, I'm not exactly surprised that's where my path went. And I went to school for it. I got my bachelor's in it and then my master of fine arts. Yeah. So I was pretty committed. Yeah, I made a deal with myself when I decided I was going to go to grad school. I said, well, if I'm going to spend 7 years in college pursuing this, I'm going to spend 7 years after college pursuing it professionally. And then that would have made me graduate when I was 25 with my master's. That would have made me 32. And by the time I was 32, if I was still doing something like, bartending or something like that, then it would be time to consider something else. But thankfully, by my late 20s, I was making a full-time living. So, because I don't know if I've got the skills for anything else. Yeah.
To pit people against other people.
Good. I like where this is going.
Person to work with.
Sure. A favorite person? No, I don't have a favorite person to work with, but I do have people I like working with a lot. In anime, two of my closest friends are Max Middleman and Ray Chase, both great actors. Max plays Saitama in One Punch Man, The One Punch Man, and Ray plays Noct in Final Fantasy. Ray and I were in 29 separate projects together in 2016, so we go very well together. Our voices are together, and they're just great buddies. So in that world, we do a live show, we stream together. They're like real friends that I have who I work with. In the animation world, I love to work with some of the old timers like Maurice LaMarche, Rob Paulson. There's just so many that are iconic to me that I've been lucky enough to work with. And then some of the younger guys who are becoming the old guard like Eric Bauza, and who is my partner on Breadwinners, one of my favorite people and actors. But man, it really is a nice community. I can literally think of two people I've worked with that I wouldn't want to work with again, and you don't get to know who they are. But they're mostly really, really nice, gracious people. Yeah.
I'm curious about One Punch Man. At least I was at the earlier panel, and the story about how all three of you, as you just mentioned, were so happy about getting the roles that you went for. Do you mind telling, for those
Sure.
viewers who didn't get to hear it?
Well, we all knew that casting was coming down the pipe, and there have been multiple callbacks for all of us at a certain point or another. And Max and Ray and I, Max Middleman, Ray Chasen, and I were all kind of gunning for these separate parts that we felt were good for us. And on the same day, we all kind of got a phone call. So that night we went out. We had lunch, and then that night we went out and had a bite and a few drinks at a place in Venice. And we were like, "What'd you get? Did you get?" And Max is like, "I got Punch Man." I'm like, "I'm him," and he's like, "I'm Puri." And I'm like, "Oh, it really." I love it when a plan comes together because it doesn't always. And so we were really excited about that, and to know that we would be out there promoting it together and working together, that was a really cool moment. Yeah, that doesn't happen too much, and it was nice to happen with this. Well, not too much. Ray and I 29 times, but not something like that where we were specifically pursuing something like that. So that was a really cool moment. Oh, I enjoyed it a lot, and I knew that would make the show more enjoyable for me too. Because as I said, as I get a little bit further along in my career, a lot of what matters is who I work with. And those are two great guys to work with. Yeah, and Viz is awesome. I love Viz. They've been so good to me. So good to me. So nothing but great things to say about them. Yeah.
You mentioned stage acting. So between stage acting and voice acting, which one do you prefer the most and why? Theater will always have a special place in my heart. I loved it. It's where I got my training. It's where I came up. It's, first love. This is who I met in theater, and, all of that stuff. It's never not going to be a part of my life. However, I'm kind of over it. I'm good. I'm just not that viable as an on-camera actor. For those a lot of us can't see this. I'm brown. You know what I mean? And that hurts you a little bit in American theater. There's not too many roles for us. There's some colorblind casting, but not that much. And on camera, I did a little bit of it when I came to LA. But I really love what I'm doing right now. Talk to me again in
8 years, and we'll see. Maybe I'll be jaded on this the same way I was jaded on theater, but I don't think so. I think this is where I've always belonged. I've always been a nerd at heart, so I think I fell into where I'm supposed to be. Yeah.
We have time for a few more questions.
Yeah, I'll just speed round.
Politics. You're willing to talk politics?
Sure.
Okay. Japanese animation falls under trade. A lot of things recently President Donald Trump has said would put restrictions on trade, and that would include most likely anime, manga, or anything coming from Japan. Do you have any strong opinions about that?
Well, there's a tricky part about free trade, you know. It's only free for somebody specific. When you say free trade, someone's pockets are getting lined one way or the other. So the question is, whose pockets are getting lined and why and when? I am not that familiar with what he wants to do with trade for Japan. I know what he wants to do with trade for China, which listen, I am not a Trump supporter by any means. I am anti almost everything he says. I'm not exactly anti non-free trade with China. I think that maybe we should be putting some harsher sanctions on them since they artificially cook the books on their economy. So, you know, granted we owe them a lot of money, but maybe that'd be a good way to pay them back. Japan, I'm not so sure. I'm not educated enough about our trade deal with Japan right now. Obviously, it's okay enough to get licensing deals to go through. The question is, who takes the cut? Is it the Japanese taxpayers, the Japanese company, the American taxpayers, the American company? Like, the money's got to come from somewhere. And as long as we're still able to do business, I think that's what matters. But the problem with something like that is it's just who's getting the fair side of the deal. Both people are trying to negotiate their own interests, and when you try to run a government like you try to run a business, then you're always going to run into issues. So I would support anything that doesn't steal money from the consumer or the taxpayer. If it's a matter of shuffling money between companies and countries, I'll leave that up to the politicians. Yeah.
I've asked other cast members of this project how they feel about it, and with how popular it seems to be on Netflix with the Seven Deadly Sins, I was curious how you feel about the first season, a potentially new season, and the OVA season that just came out.
Say that again, and I'm going to be 100% honest. I got a text from my girlfriend, and she's traveling, and I wasn't listening. That's a real and honest question. She's going home for a family emergency right now, and I was looking at her text, but everything's fine.
That's okay.
It's just a question about the dog. Would you please ask me that good question again?
I've asked other castmates for the Seven Deadly Sins and they all seem to really love it. So I'm curious on your thoughts about the first season,
Yeah.
the OVA that just came out, and potentially more seasons ahead.
Oh, what a fun, cute show! I love Seven Deadly Sins. Great character design. It reminds me a little bit of Fairy Tale. Some shameless fan service. It's great. Action's great. It's well animated. The characters are likable, highly marketable. I like that show, and Netflix loves it. So as long as Netflix loves it and it gets us more viewers, that's really good. And I like my character. He's just
Really?
I do. He's just kind of a stoic. He's kind of a stoic, weird sort of jerk who's not really a jerk. You find I don't want to blow anything, but you know what I mean. Like, he's not what he seems. And in the OVAs, you get a lot bigger taste of what he's going to be like in the seasons to come. And I've read ahead in some of the manga arcs, and I like where that's going. He's going to get a romance. He's going to get a deeper role in the Holy Knights. I think it's a good show. Yeah, people seem to like it. I like it. I see a lot of cosplayers. It's fun. No Guild Thunder cosplayers. It's too hard. Too much armor. Got to buy a pink wig. I don't know. How we doing?
Good.
Good.
Oh, okay, good.
I meant on time, but it's okay. I'm glad to know you're well.
You mentioned facing some adversity booking on-screen roles.
Sure.
How is the diversity in voice work?
Pretty good. Pretty darn good. I was up there, where was I just at? Oh, I was in a group recording, and there was the guest star. It was for Western animation. Can't tell you what it is, but the guest star was an Asian lady, and she was looking around, and she goes, "This is the most diverse cast I have been in a while." And I was like, yeah, it's changing. It's awesome. I mean, I think that's great. And the nice thing about voiceover work is that it doesn't matter. So that's pretty cool. I did play an African American character once, and I felt a little bit guilty about it. But I try to do him justice the best I could. It was a period piece, and I have a couple of I have a couple of friends who work with that studio who are black, and they're like, "Hey, who got Smokey?" And I was like, I don't know. That's weird. We're gonna have to wait and see how it comes out. No, the diversity is really great. I think there could be a little bit more African American representation. I think there are some characters that could be played who might by an African American actor who is not necessarily that color on screen, because that's not really a typical anime type. I'd like to see a little bit more of that. I think there's some characters where you wouldn't immediately be able to identify them as that, and I feel like there could be a bit more room for that. Though Bang Zoom's doing a nice job. My friend Amari Williams has just done a couple characters that are non-African. They wouldn't be American, but you know what I mean. So it's pretty darn good in voiceover, I gotta say. There could be more female representation always. The females have it tougher. There's more of you, less parts. But you know, that means they're just out there kicking more butt. Yeah, pretty solid though. Yeah.